Over time, the world changes, but the art we make remains the same. It does not evolve with the world. It has now been 27 years since the first Harry Potter book was written, and a lot has changed in those 27 years. With that, there are a few things that didn't age well in this series, and in this video, I'm going to go through 8 examples of this.
Oh bloody hell, here we go.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It will greatly help the channel with the algorithm. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and you can also follow me on all of my other social medias, all of which are linked down below, and all of which house similar content that I make here on this channel. Now that I've said that, let's get into it. Number 1, love potions. Love potions are very questionable. They make a person do something that they don't want to do with the opposite sex or the same sex. We saw Romilda Vane try to do this with Harry, and Harry has to actively avoid basically getting slipped a date rape drug, because that's essentially what love potions are. And honestly, I think they might be even worse than what we have in the Muggle world, because as we saw with Ron, he was not only delirious, but obsessed with Romilda. The fact that this is actively sold to kids did not age well, especially with the Me Too movement that changed the way everybody viewed this sensitive topic. But love potions get much worse when we look at Voldemort's parents. Merritt Gaunt slipped Tom Riddle Sr. a love potion, and against his own free will, he married her, made love with her God knows how many times, and impregnated her with a baby he never wanted. A kid that went on to kill him, by the way. So yeah, love potions have not aged well. Number 2, fat shaming. There's a lot of fat shaming in this series that doesn't really align with how we view and talk about people that are overweight today. Harry openly mocks Dudley about his weight, Hagrid makes fun of Dudley for being like a fat pig, and Fred and George prey on him being fat enough to eat candy that essentially poisons him. And even the narration of the novels makes fun of Dudley's weight, which we know is J.K. Rowling herself. She describes Dudley saying he's as big as a killer whale or as fat as he is tall. Rowling also makes fun of Vernon Dursley's weight, Marge Dursley's weight, and especially Umbridge's weight, saying she's squat, fat, and toad-like. But the thing that really made this not age well is that all of this fat shaming is used for comic relief in the series. The reason for all of this fat shaming was to make the readers laugh, but all these years later, we're not really laughing. Number 3 is a word that Rowling used several times in her series, and it's a word that is extremely offensive to who we now call small people. I was actually just doing my reread of the series for the billionth time, and I got to this one section where I read it and I was like, that's not great. In the Order of the Phoenix, Ron says, well, I'll just read it for you. Hey, you lot, midgets. Ron, well they are, they're titchy. I know, but you can't call them midgets. First years, Hermione called commandingly. Using that term to describe little children is not a good look. And this wasn't the only time that this now slur was used in the series. In The Goblet of Fire, Ron once again used this term. Ah, said Ron, imitating Professor Trelawney's mystical whisper. When 2 Neptunes appear in the sky, it is a sign that a midget in glasses is being born, Harry. Yeah, not great. That didn't age well. Number 4, goblins. This is something that has been talked about at length over the years, not just by fans, but also experts that study literature. Goblins pretty clearly match the stereotypes of somebody who is Jewish. They're controlling of money, untrustworthy, and oftentimes they screw you over. The books describe that they are the way they are because they're goblins, just as the stereotype of Jews is that they are the way they are because they're Jewish, something that the evil dictator Adolf Hitler is famous for saying. And going past the books, the Harry Potter movies made this anti-Semitic trope even worse. They decided to depict the goblins to have large noses, another stereotype of Jews. Also, just looking at this one picture from the films, yeah, it's not great. Breaking all of this down, goblins are large-nosed bankers who are greedy when it comes to money. And to make it even worse, in the film, they have what looks like the Star of David on the floor of Gringotts. Now, just to be clear, this is not a problem with J.K. Rowling specifically. When looking at folklore, goblins are known to stab you in the back and steal your valuables. So honestly, this is more of a problem of fiction over the last century. It just so happens that many stories written decades ago, including J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, is now viewed as anti-Semitic when it comes to goblins. Number 5, the way slavery was written. House elf slavery is a questionable topic. In the books, Hermione actively fights for house elf rights with her organization SPEW. While this is a very serious topic both in the real world and in the world of Harry Potter, slavery is used as comic relief by J.K. Rowling. Hermione is mocked by everybody, and it becomes a running joke that people just completely dismiss her liberation of literal slaves. And the characters that do this aren't just bad people. In fact, most of them are actually the good characters. These people are Harry, the main hero of the story, Ron, Hagrid, Fred, George, and pretty much everybody else in Gryffindor House. Having your comic relief focus on somebody who is trying to end slavery is not great. This definitely did not age well, and actually I think that the filmmakers saw this coming because they cut out every bit of this plotline for the movies. It will be interesting to see how the new Harry Potter TV series deals with this. Moving to number 6, the way the Dursleys treat Harry. Harry is physically and mentally abused by the Dursleys to the point of straight up child abuse. Beyond that, they also had Harry malnourished to the point of starvation at times. Now, in the real world, if somebody knew what was happening, they would put a stop to it immediately and would make sure it never happened again. If a social worker ever found out about the conditions of number 4 Privet Drive, Harry would absolutely be taken from his aunt and uncle and taken in by the state. While taking Harry out of this situation if you know what's going on is the obvious thing to do, one person knew about all of this and did nothing. Albus Dumbledore knew how bad it really was because he of course had Mrs. Fig informing him of everything that was going on, and despite this, he did not step in and just let it happen. Obviously, there's a reason why Dumbledore left Harry at the Dursleys, that being to ensure his mother's love protection stayed there. And you could argue that Dumbledore did confront the Dursleys about this, but that was after Harry was almost an adult and would spend very little time there moving forward. So too little too late if you ask me. I would bet that if Rowling wrote this series today, she would have toned down just how much child abuse Harry was actually put through. Number 7. Krum and Hermione's ages. Victor Krum and Hermione Granger started dating during the Goblet of Fire, and it wasn't just casually hanging out. They actually did get physically intimate at some point, according to Ginny. That's all fine and well until you realize how old both of them were. Krum was 18 years old, meaning he was a legal adult, and Hermione had just turned 15, meaning she was a minor. Depending on where you live, the age of consent for an 18-year-old is at the youngest 16, and at the oldest, both have to be 18 years old. So clearly, Hermione was underage, and that means that Krum committed sexual assault on a minor. So that makes it something that did not age well in the Harry Potter series. Number 8. The lack of LGBTQ+ characters. Now, J.K. Rowling did make Albus Dumbledore gay after the final book was released, and she doubled down on this when writing the Fantastic Beasts films. But in the 7 books of text, there was no mention of a single gay character. In today's media, pretty much every big franchise has at least one LGBTQ+ character, and if they don't, it's sort of frowned upon. And I know this is a topic that sparks a lot of debate, some agreeing with it, while others are very against this new trend in media. But the fact of the matter is, had these 7 books been written today, a fair few would criticize it for not including a gay or trans character, meaning this is a reason to say that the series did not age well in that regard. Comment below and let me know what you think though. I'm sure many of you will have a lot to say about some of, if not all of what I brought forth in this video. Comment below and leave your thoughts. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. That's all I have for you guys today though, so I will see you in the next video.